This is Akashvani. In the program Spotlight, now we bring you a discussion on inauguration of development projects in Maharashtra and Goa. The participants are Vijay Kranti, political analyst, and Sonu Sood, anchor.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated and laid the foundation stones of multiple development projects worth around 7,500 crore rupees in sectors like health, rail, road and oil and gas at Shirdi in Ahmednagar district of Maharashtra today. He also launched the Namo Shetkari Mahasamman Nidhi Yojana. He then reached Goa in the evening for the formal inauguration of 37th National Games at Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium, Margao, Goa. For discussing the various aspects of this important visit and the development projects which have been inaugurated, we have with us Vijay Kranti, who is an senior journalist. Welcome to the show, Mr. Kranti.
Thank you.
So we'd like to know from you this visit today of Prime Minister Narendra Modi to Maharashtra and Goa, where he has inaugurated several developmental projects in Goa. The National Games formal inauguration took place today. How important do you find it from the point of view of the overall development of the country?
Today's program of Prime Minister in Maharashtra and Goa is a very good mix of creating an ecosystem for a long-term ecosystem for future of India. For example, in Maharashtra, he inaugurated the Nilwande Dam, which is taking water to the families plus to the farms for irrigation, and at the same time, addition of new sections to the hospitals for the children, and then at the same time, creating an additional financial security for the farmers through the new, what you call Namo Shetkari Mahasamman Nidhi Yojana. And on the other hand, going to Shirdi temple and offering puja and darshan and jal pujan, all these things together are covering not only development, also the spiritual development of the society, and then the physical development through these 37 national games at Goa. So it presents a very interesting mix of the direction in which India is going, and Prime Minister's involvement in all these activities also shows the national resolve of India to become a fully developed nation when we reach 100th year of India's independence. So I look at today's event a very interesting mix, a very positive mix.
In fact, Prime Minister Narendra Modi in his public address in Shirdi said that all of us should work towards making India developed by 2047. He said the government is following the mantra of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vishwas, and the government's highest priority is the welfare of the poor. So you feel the inclusive approach of the government is very important to achieve this objective, and the kind of development projects which you have outlined, which cover sectors like health, rail, road and oil and gas, which affect any common man's standard of living, provides employment opportunities. It's a very, very well thought out and comprehensive effort.
I look at it a kind of continuity of whatever is going on in India for infrastructure development and taking development to the last man in the queue. Because the way we have seen infrastructure in the shape of national highways or connecting every village with the road, or even to the extent of taking the road to the soldier who is on the first border post. So all these things show that the development of infrastructure is a very serious agenda of the nation, and the Prime Minister is heralding this agenda. And then on the other side, as we see the kind of developments as they are happening today, a dam which was thought of in 1970, I think, and now it is taking shape finally and carrying water to 182 villages. And that itself shows that the process which started during time of Modi government is going ahead. And when we see today in the evening the inauguration at Goa, so that is also reflecting the spirit of Khelo India taking strides. So in that sense, I feel that it's a very eventful day today.
If we talk of fast execution, successful execution of projects, which you talked about in context of Neelavade Dam's inauguration, another example is that the foundation stone of the new Darshan Rang Bhavan or the Darshan Q complex, which has been inaugurated in Shirdi, the foundation stone of this building was laid by the Prime Minister in 2018. So, how significant do you find this for encouraging religious tourism, and how important do you see it as an example of the government's resolve to actually execute their plans and bring them to fruition?
This is a very good example of what happened today at Shirdi Temple, that a project of which the Prime Minister had laid foundation stone in October 2018 is now he is inaugurating it. So this reflects a change of culture, development culture in India. Initially, in earlier many years, there was a big problem with governments who had very good intentions of development. But once the foundation stones were laid, there was always a problem of organizing funds and generating that enthusiasm among the government machinery to execute those things. So at the end, it was not that things were being developed or coming to logical end at planned date. But now we see a process, which is something very new, that the Prime Minister is making special efforts and interest in every project for which he lays foundation stone and then monitors to ensure that it completes in time. This Shirdi complex, of course, is a very interesting example. It's a religious place, spiritual place. And in India, we were used to going to spiritual places where there was, unfortunately, lack of organization, or, the places were very crowded, facilities used to be almost missing, and we would take it in our stride. But now what we see in what is happening today in Shirdi, that, you see creating a waiting room for 10,000 devotees. It's not a joke. 10,000 people who arrive there, they get nice seating place, they get air-conditioned environment and a comfortable environment where facilities like booking for when they want to return home, either with buses or by train or by plane, all the arrangement for those bookings and their own number in the queue, everything is organized there digitally, and people can do it comfortably, sitting there itself, either going to the counter or managing it on their mobile itself. So that shows there is a realization that the religious tourism in India has great potential. There were days when we would see that there were hardly any good roads to some of those most famous religious destinations, and there were hardly any facilities. But today, when we see newspaper today, you just open today's newspaper and you will be surprised to see that the tourism companies are advertising packages for, you name a religious place and you will get a package for it. And that package involves a lot of comfortable way of journey, the place of stay, and your arrangement for the darshan. So this shows that the society and the government are taking religious tourism very seriously. And I'm sure if they go for a survey, they would discover that religious tourism in India has perhaps far more potential than the normal tourism. We have so many thousands and millions of people who would love to drive to hill stations. That's right, because roads are becoming good. But now we find that the religious destinations too are catching up in facilities. They were already ahead in winning visitors, the number of visitors, but now they are winning at attraction. And today's inauguration of the Q section, Shirdi, by Prime Minister is a very good example of what is happening in India in religious tourism.
Absolutely. And also, speaking on the occasion, the Prime Minister underlined that the welfare of the poor is the highest priority of the government, and he emphasized that the government is committed to the empowerment of farmers. He outlined how procurement under MSP has increased manyfold in these 9 years, and how direct benefit transfer has removed corruption and leakage. How important do you see this empowerment of farmers by the government in the context of Namo Shetkari Mahasamman Nidhi Yojana, which was launched today?
If we talk of this Namo Shetkari Mahasamman Nidhi Yojana, this itself is an example of the new process which has started of reaching out to the poor. And in this case, they are the farmers, the shetkaris. In other cases, we have seen women in families who got gas connections or who went to the bank with Jan Dhan Yojana and who are getting for their either for self-help groups or for individual enterprises, they're getting them the loan easily. And all this money being distributed through a digital system where the identity of the receiver beneficiary is confirmed. And that has taken away, that old siphon system. And the way now the government has direct money reaching people, their bank accounts, which has eliminated the ghost beneficiaries. So that has helped the government also to include far more number of beneficiaries who can be benefited by various schemes. And today, this Namo Shetkari Maha Samman Nidhi Yojana, where the farmers are going to get 6,000 rupees in addition to whatever they were getting earlier, the previous under Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi Yojana. So that shows the sincerity of the government of helping those sections of the society who really need it. So that I look at it as a very positive development.
In fact, if we add to it, today he announced that 1.1 crore Ayushman cards were distributed in Maharashtra, and how the free treatment being given to the poor under the Ayushman Bharat scheme has changed the health landscape of the country also. So if we move to Goa, the 37th National Games are being held in Goa for the very first time. The inauguration, of course, took place today. What does this mean for the economy of the state?
Goa has been already quite rich on the issue of being a attractive tourist destination. It has everything what tourist demands. But the organization of 37th National Games in Goa, which is happening first time in the history of Goa that it is hosting National Games, that if you look at it, when these games were inaugurated today, that means that a lot of stadiums and sports facilities, training facilities, hosting of the players, all those facilities have been developed in Goa over last 6 months or 1 year to host these national games. So that is going to help Goa in another way, making it a sports destination and also encouraging its own youths in its villages, towns and cities to take up sports. When you see the Goa games are being shown on the TV channels, being discussed on social media, in newspapers. So that is going to encourage the Goan youth to take to sports. And I can imagine that in a couple of years, you will see the potential of Goa producing national and international level sportsmen or sportswomen might double or 3 times, simply because Goa is hosting 37th National Games and it is creating that curiosity and encouragement to the youths. So I look at it another feather in the cap of Goa, which was already one of the best tourist destinations for Indians and foreigners.
So, development agenda of the government, which has focused on inclusivity, was carried forward by the Prime Minister today in Maharashtra and Goa, taking the fruits of national development to the last mile. And we really thank you for giving us this comprehensive insight into the developments which have taken place today, sir.
Thank you.
You were listening to a discussion on inauguration of development projects in Maharashtra and Goa. The participants were Vijay Kranti, political analyst, and Sonu Sood, anchor. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of Akashvani. You can listen to it on our mobile app, News on AIR. This program is also available on our YouTube channel, News on AIR Official. You may share your feedback about this program through email at airnsdtalks@gmail.com or WhatsApp on 928-909-4044.